Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of The World of Sasquatch. This was more of an impromptu thing, so I have no clue what's going to be said at all.
We were literally minding our own business, working on some of our lectures that were going to be given when we go to Japan this spring. And you went outside and a multitude of Sasquatch showed up. So we asked them, and they said yes, and we said, well, we better take this opportunity to maybe sit down and have a talk. So here we are.
Mm-hmm. And the one that approached me in the backyard while I was photographing crystals for our crystal lecture in Japan was Morak. And he's big and black, just like Fuma. I think he's a little taller, actually. And Fuma has a little more gray in his hair. But he was out there. He just appeared to me. And then he made a comment that he wanted one of my large crystals. And I said no, because I can't replace that one. And it's this big. So, no.
And it's nice. We have a lot of bird activity around us.
Yeah, there's
we're seeing in the background flying, so this is nice.
Yeah, when I was out here a little bit ago, there was not this much bird activity. Mm-hmm. And I believe they're speaking more in quantum, and they want to make clear that sometimes these guardian animals are them. That people see in dreams and see in reality. It's actually them taking that form. And what else?
Well, I'm going to have to confess now, Chris, because I didn't tell you this morning. But, just like a lot of people, we've been going through some highs and lows, let's say, of things going on. And, you and I were finding out some information that was kind of like we're a little still unsettled, not mm-hmm. quite sure what's going on. And it makes you kind of have normal responses like doubting. I actually was kind of calling out for myself to have some benevolent guides really make themselves known to me. It's, I think like a lot of you out there may be feeling a little unsure of things and really feeling the need for a boost, let's say. Mm-hmm. So I didn't tell you this, but this morning when I woke up, before I woke up, I actually, again, was seeing things before I woke up, and a Sasquatch made themselves present to me this morning. And so it's an interesting thing that you're bringing up guides, because I'm feeling that it would be nice that I acknowledge the fact that you guys made yourself known to me, really made yourself known to me, that you were around, and you were acting in benevolence for my highest good and watching over us. That literally happened this morning as I was getting up. So I do acknowledge that, guys, publicly. Mm-hmm. And I think whomever it was, because I'm not sure who it was that made themselves really known, but that actually happened this morning. So okay. It's interesting they're bringing it up now.
Yeah, and they're in a jovial mood, like this happy, joy mood. And they're like, so they're elevating the energy. And one of them in the background is saying, Isaac doesn't do it right. Okay. I don't know who that was, but okay. A shorter one in the back over there, but and they're all saying that they're better at it. Okay. Okay, let's see.
So what are your most common, if you're saying you come around sometimes as, I guess you were saying you come around sometimes as birds, what are some of the most common forms that you take to make sure people feel supported or you're watching and protecting? What do you like to do?
They're saying birds, dogs, cats, deer, elk, bears.
Oh, which brings us to what we saw on the news last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just happened to turn on the TV, and she wanted to check out one of the Roku channels that had to do with the news. And it just happened to be about a report of a child that had a bear friend in the woods, and the adults were looking for him.
Yeah, the child was lost. This was literally on the news last night, World News, ABC. There was a report about a child that had gone missing in the state of North Carolina, and the child luckily was found. What the child was saying and what the mother reported back to everybody, and the news reported, was that the child was saying, one of the good things was that the child came across a bear friend that helped them, and that was their friend during this time when they were lost. And I thought it was very interesting, again, because obviously Chris and I were like in shock that was even said, because for us, we felt very strongly that there was Sasquatch involved in protecting those children. And from what we know, even in some of the big national parks, at time it's been reported that lost children were somehow guided back to their campsite by Sasquatch. It's actually been reported. Those reports have really occurred. So I thought that was very interesting that last night on the national news, ABC channel, there was a report of a child who said that they were helped by what they said was a bear. So it's very interesting that they just said bear.
Yeah, they were emphasizing that because they wanted to bring that up. And they're saying, they keep going back that the reports of missing people are not them. They're not doing this.
Oh, that they're not, yeah.
They're not causing it. They're getting blamed for it. And then evidence is being left behind which blames them by other beings that can fake evidence for our investigators here. And but they try as much as they can to rescue these people and children. The ones they've honed in on are children, because the adults, even in their half delirious state, would still not receive them well. So that it's not like they're singling the children out. It's that they're the easier ones to help, and the children receive them better. See them as like a big teddy bear or a like an imaginary friend or something. Okay, and what they're saying they watch from the air too. Like it's not just as in bird forms. Some of them have ships. They watch from the air.
And you know what? We didn't mention this before, so maybe this is a good time to mention the fact that you guys do have the ability to go in and out of different frequencies. A lot of you, but also this orb issue, this orb change. So, well, maybe you guys can speak a little bit about the orbs related to Sasquatch.
Oh, he's saying he can say it better himself. Okay. On behalf of our people, I bid you blessing. The orbs that people see accompanied with us are for two reasons. One, some of our more advanced brethren can exhibit their molecular cellular solid abilities. And two, the enemy, the photonic realms, the archontic forces, or you call them spook lights. We are usually there to combat them and shield people from them. This is one of the two reasons why you see us accompanied together. In areas that the archontic forces are stronger, we attempt to push them back. In this, I know you wanted happy, joy, so I will filter parts of this. Our war with the Draco is actually going well. We are concentrating on the feral, you would call them bloodhound type first, since they are the ones that cause a lot of your missing persons That and the face eater problem, known as trolls. Now, we wish to concentrate upon a different topic, such as gifting. Yes, we favor, or some of us favor, certain things over others, like you. And this is a form of communication. But I must stress, there are different clans that do things differently. Some work with hand signs and stone and stick glyphs, and some work with telepathy. The stone and stick glyph descendant lineage consist of using hand signs and stick glyphs. The most common stick glyph you will find is an X. This is a gifting symbol if put on the ground, but if it is up in between two trees, this means it is a territory or boundary. When you see a little stick structure, this is more or less like a, you would say, a training scenario for children to build the larger ones. The larger ones are more like a, you would say, temple space or meditation area. It's also areas we designate to come in and out of frequencies. Some tribes will tell you they do slightly different things with them. So do not just depend on one tribe's information. We are in your American Southwest, the Arizona area. Some of us are of Lemurian descendant lineage. Some of us are from further north, in the Washington, Oregon areas. Also Lemurian descendant lineage. Now, with the gifting, most of us respond with feathers or imagery of feathers in the head. Feathers will be placed in areas that would seem not possible. That is the most common gifting we do. That and animal parts such as bones. There are others that offer dead animals. This is more common with the tribes people that respond in glyphs and hand signs. Gifting artwork is good, food even better, but nothing with chemical traces, such as your refined sugars and your iodized salt products. This actually can damage our energy state very much as if you used refined sugar in your own intestinal tract. It has a lower vibrational frequency, of which the draconian empire and archontic forces created. Very much like refining your coca plant into your cocaine substance, and so on. We are not saying don't eat it. We are just telling you some of the facts and traces in the background. It could be more harmful to us, though my people will be curious and eat it if you leave donuts or cake. This is probably not the best for them, and they will argue that it's not the best for you either because they want it.
And they are correct. But
indeed,
they get addicted to it just like we do.
Even more so because of the vibrational energy states and frictions caused by this. Now, you can leave stones, crystals, the bigger the better. Not saying you have to. But if you wish to start a communication, a stick X on the ground in a gifting site. You may have seen X's together, a smaller one and a larger one. This means bigger brother and little brother. Sometimes my people are warning you of the trails and the chemtrails in the skies crossing. Depends on the tribe that communicates. Sometimes they will show wavy lines showing what is above you and warning you about the chemicals. That is in an attempt to help you. Again, different tribes do slightly different things. And different tribes have slightly different looks, very much like your own people. This is one of the reasons I came, but also, if you wish to leave a gift for us, know that because of our war with the Draco, our communications are slightly thinner these days. Do not despair, though, because if you leave something, say if you want to leave something for one of our children, say a toy, this is a very good communication, because people often, when they speak to children or animals, they speak with their heart space. This is where we communicate in. This is our main conveyance of energies and speech on a quantum level. You see, the darker ones are thinning out now. And this is why you all are having such trouble with them, as dear Fuma said on a previous recording about them messing with the state of your thoughts. But these are happier times since then, because of your new year changeover, not the number per se, but the energy sine wave, you would say, is changing. It comes and goes, like a tidal wave, or the tides and ebbs and flows and currents of water. There are periods of rest and periods of turbulence, storms and calm seas. We are in a calm sea at the moment. But we are not asking that you co-create the negative, but we are saying, just know when your thoughts are not your own and when they are. Believe the term is know thyself, and this is what we promote. We like the idea of an internet communication, though there are lots of them. There are those out there that claim to speak for us. This is not always so. Or they may think they are speaking for us when they are speaking for satiric, demonic, and archontic forces. This is what I wished to say, but I am open to questions.
Well, what you just said, though, different people, and what we've tried to say, and I do want you to comment on this further, is that we have experienced, and then we see very good people. I mean, not perfect, because we all go through our growing where we're seeing more clearly than seeing less clearly. But I think even Chris would agree to this, that what he's learned over the last few years especially was his in the area that he's now grown a lot, is understanding how deception can occur to the best of people if they're in a more vulnerable state for whatever reason in their growth process. Then they become more vulnerable to incorrect information, things like that. But it doesn't mean. I guess I'm asking you because I really do believe the vast majority of people are trying to do to the best of their abilities when they bring forth information. What they understand to at that moment in time to be helpful and correct information. It's just that it was not well understood how easily things could become a bit corrupted or or things like that. And that's one of the reasons we desperately try to tell people to discern the message and not the messenger, because we don't want all these people who are trying their best to be judged, let's say. So, I know you just mentioned that fact that it does occur, but do you mind speaking a little bit more on it?
Yes, we are aware that people do not know most times that this is occurring. However, we do warn against a particular means by which the bad guys do offer their information. The most widely used are prophetical messages of martyrdom, savior complexes, messiah complexes, and dates for your full and complete disclosure. Though there have been impatient beings out there that have done this, they still are utilizing their agenda for their own good and not humanity's. Not all of them are malevolent, just impatient. Just know when you get prophetical messages, like Messiah-based ones, saying the return of someone or the coming of somebody, these are a hint that you have spindly Orions at work, archontic beings, and any messages of violence towards your neighbor would be reptilian-based. Draco-reptilian-based. There are good reptilian-based life forms out there. But they are attempting to go out with a bang by causing more holy conflicts, or creating more people that see themselves as holier than thou. This may cause some friction with this message, but so be it. We do not wish friction, but we must also inform at the same time. We do not wish to cause for and against, or fodder, as you would say, for the AI archontic force out there, known as the clockmaker, you call it. But this is how it is. There are these warning signs. Any messages that promote one idiom over another, certain religions over other religions, certain messages over other messages, then that also would be an incorrect assumption. Yes, I am putting the value of this message slightly above those, so do not get me wrong. I am warning about these types and idioms that the darker entities use. Any messages, as I said, of war, declaring war, or visions of war and apocalypse are being solely used by this AI construct to your remote viewing community. Yes, one system must collapse for a new one to take its place. This is a certainty. This is a way of things. But it does not have to be with a cataclysm or a war. So when these seers are seeing this, they're writing it down as fact, and hence either keeping a stagnation around longer or co-creating a conflict. Then they say, see, this came. This is not always so. You would call this a self-fulfilling prophecy? And this leads me to prophecies. Any messages of prophecy, anointedship, or the rise of a belief system, or that belief system saving parts of the planet? Not so. It is still capitulating your energy and will to something outside of yourself. Any messages that bring this about, promoting messages of godhood outside of you? No, it is your own heart, your own will, your own mind and soul You are a spark of Creator, as are we. You are individuals, but you are all one. And finally, this brings me to any messages trying to get you to believe the same emotion, feel the same way, and not feel the full spectrum of who you are. This is one of the worst tricks of all time. To get you to see yourself as divided. One half of you is worse than the other. No. This is what I wished to warn about.
Yeah, so I actually think this last part, Fuma, I'm sorry, not Fuma. I actually think this last part has actually been really put into overdrive by the AI to try to polarize people in their own personal thoughts. I really do feel strongly, because I know that I've been affected in that way. It's been, I think, an interesting time. So I like the fact that, and again, we just reiterate that, try to reflect that if you're staying in one particular emotional state, like, for example, anger. I am angry at all humans for what they've done to the earth, and I'm just hating. That is a polarizing, not balanced way of being. And I would use that as an example of what you're talking about. One example of what you're talking about. You just are becoming obsessed with it. You just can't let it go. You can't seem to find joy in anything. You would normally laugh at funny cat videos, and you can't even laugh at anything. And it's kind of funny, because I know that I was personally, here comes a plane flying right exactly over us. I think that's kind of funny. So I was experiencing that, and I actually try to walk a lot for exercise, and listen to music. And here I was listening to music, and I had gotten upset over something, and everything I was listening to was just anger. And it got to the point where I finally stopped walking. I'm like, this is disgusting. I don't even like feeling this way. So I may have vented it, but I actually tried to stop it, in a sense, saying, no, this is not going to continue. I've got to get myself into a better way, because I can't continue to promote this anger. Anyway, I know I've been going on a little bit, but I think that's really important, because I actually do feel that it's been going on a lot. You got to realize it's going on. You have to actively switch your mind someplace else. This is the bad news. You guys can't effect that change in a person. A person has to recognize it and affect their own change. But understanding it's what's going on is affecting a lot of people, and getting yourself to stop yourself is going to be helpful. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that. So since you're here and we are actually doing the world of Sasquatch, let's change this up a bit, because I know a lot of people, again, they don't see you guys. They're not in the frequency. They have a hard time, I think. I think it would be fun to give them some imaginings of what your different tribes look like. How do you guys live? Do you just live under the stars? Do you build structures that you live within? Do you, if you're in a cave area, do people normally live within caves? What does the home life look like?
We do live underground in what you know of as the inner earth, or Agartha. We do have our family units and structures under the ground in little alcove areas. You would see them as rock outcroppings and alcoves. Some of our more surface dwelling types live in caves or live in outcroppings and alcoves in the sides and cliff faces and rocks. There are many different types of us. Short, tall, stout. Some of us have stockier builds, while some of us have virtually no necks, like myself. That is the Lemurian lineage. There are others that have slightly longer necks and slightly different lineages, and there are mixes. Most of the Sasquatch you see today are mixes of each other, though there are still separate tribes. The one we steer clear of is the one you call Yeti. That is more of a reptilian hybrid lineage that was created in a laboratory by the ones you call the Archon or Dark Anunnaki. Granted, we have a similar upbringing in our original heritage. But in this, the ones that held the most hostility still, but also carry some of the, what you would call the superpowers as well, would be the Yeti. They are the most ill-tempered, along with the one you know of as the Orang Pendek of Indonesia. Also, the other one, known as the skunk ape, but the most and the worst of the ill-tempered ones, next to the Yeti. Actually, the two are roughly tied to each other, would be the one you know of as the face eater, or the large baboon-faced being with the pointy head. They are the most controlled and the most barbaric. The only reason they have telepathic skills at all is because they were given such by the Dark Ones and their technology. Now, there is a baboon-looking race that is interdimensional, like ourselves, that are shorter. Your Hanuman Monkey King was one of these, back in the times of ancient Lemuria. He sat on this council as well. They were wronged by the Dark Ones once, and they ended up in our dimensional layer. The frequencies we inhabit are very much like how you would see a radio dial, and sometimes the frequencies in between. Your kind is in one of the frequencies in between. You are in a causeway, as you would say, on the way to your 5D, you would call it, which is where some of us reside. You see us more and more because you are approaching this. But it is still too early for our kind to make ourselves fully known to yours as an open race. The violence level is still far too high, and some of our own people, in an attempt to build that bridge, have gotten hurt. No fault, or virtually no fault of your own, but there are humans that delve in the dark as well. It was these archontic forces that started this violent thread. It's humans that must seal it off for good and communicate with the heart space, always.
So I'm going to go back then, maybe again, just continuing on with the discussion of how you all live. And I'm going to go back to when Chris and I were in North Carolina. And we would, they have a large, long, multi-mile walkway that they've created on the Neuse River there in North Carolina. So that we were at a section of it, and we were just walking around, and Chris had brought something because he wanted to gift. And in North Carolina, it's pretty, there's plenty of forest area. So the Neuse River is running through a lot of area that has forest right on either side of it. So we went to this one spot and went in, and it was kind of interesting because to my imagination, or it was an imagination, we kind of noticed it almost was like a doorway. It was really kind of interesting. Now, it was just wood, it was just trees, it's just the way it was formed. It really looked like an entranceway into something. And so we went through that, and not too far from there is right where the gifts and the glyphs were left. So if I understood you correctly, from what you were saying before, because the doorway, I don't know if you would consider it big or small, but it was a marking if I heard you correctly in the beginning, you were saying sometimes they're used as the marking of an entranceway to a sacred space, so or to a particular territory. So, I did kind of see it as a marking into an entrance area. But if I just heard you correctly, as I'm looking around, I'm not seeing any wooden structures that were made that you would think somebody lives in. So in this particular instance, what you're saying is that most of the time we may see an entranceway or see something that's been a marking or by the Sasquatch, but it sounds like the Sasquatch are utilizing already existing natural structures to live within, and we shouldn't be looking for necessarily wooden structures or anything that we would think of as a house.
And if we would have those structures, they would be in what you would call a different density layer or frequency. What you found there in North Carolina on the Neuse River was one of our people efficient in hand signs, glyphs, and wooden structures. He also existed in one of these other bandwidths, and so did the bulk of his dwelling. However, the entryway, or the causeway, or doorway, sat in between two frequencies. So therefore, the opening was visible, but the rest of the house was not. Our people are capable of building huts and structures, but we utilize what is already existing there for the most part. Like I've said, though, we have built our own, very much like your natives built their own. We did more of that in your ancient period when we lived side by side with humans before the invasion took place. We were the ones that showed them how to build these structures. Granted, there were other races that showed up to help them build castles and help them build stone cities and the like. But it was our people that showed them how to coexist with nature. We are not the only ones that can take credit. Dear Benevi's people can do this as well. But it is specifically your native tribes that we showed how to be at one with nature with, by building stick structures, living in between them, in amidst the trees, as we do. This is why you found that particular Sasquatch being there along the Neuse River. You wonder why it was so close to human habitation and not out the middle of the woods. Well, from his density layer, he was out in the middle of virtually nowhere. He could see the homes and see the pathway and the structures. But they, as how you were viewing him, was more like a ghost. Those structures were more like a ghost to him. For some of us, this is a truth. The ones that are some of the descendant lineages, but also can exist in the different frequencies, sometimes cannot see your structures. In certain frequencies will wander into them. Other elementals are the same. Now we are not necessarily just of the descendant lineage, we also are of Anakam. So, we can tell the different structures that are in different density layers, so therefore we do not walk into them.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm glad you clarified that for me. Another thing really to kind of talk about again, again, I know we're trying to stay happy, but I think it's good to give perspective, is in your family cycles right now, although I think you felt more comfortable many years ago bringing your children around if you were going to make. Right now, though, is a very highly protective time for you, your families, and especially your children. So I just thought it would be nice to kind of just remind people, again, don't be frustrated that you're not seeing a lot of the Sasquatch around, because of this situation. This is what you guys told us. Because of the situation with the Draco and their desperation for energy and food, they have gotten to the point where they're targeting your children, and if they can find them, they're going to go after them. So you guys have had to do a lot now to protect your own society during this period of time, correct?
Yes, indeed. Our children have been targeted by the Draco very much like your own. The Draco are one of the main reasons you have missing people. You see, they exist in different frequencies as well and can grab people, even if they are within a city structure. So, in this, I will say this. This makes us not too different from one another. Your people and mine. We do protect our children within our deep-rooted colonies, underground and otherwise. Different areas that are more magnetic in nature help fight off the artificial intelligence tracking systems that these Draco depend on. In this, our children, just like your own, wish to be out and play all the time. However, with the remainder of these tracking systems in place, it is not always advisable to let them wander. This is what we do for our children. Our parenting and yours are not too dissimilar from one another. You see, the AI tracking are in the form of the spook lights, in which I aforementioned, or the photonic realms. Granted, this is all technology, but as this one is mentioned, one is viral, one is technological, and one is light-based or photonic. These are all conglomerated within feral Draco that are controlled by a nanite core that can absorb photonic emissions from humans. This is actually most dangerous, and it is being rectified. But for them, it is easier to either grab children, that would be the ones that work directly for the Archontic forces, or the feral ones that need energy. They are easier pickings. But adults fall into this category as well, as we have said. In this, we are not telling you to be paranoid. We are not telling you to be afraid. We are just telling you keep your protection up and know who you are inside. So when something that shows up in your own mind is not you, you know it.
Yes, and then, what I would like to encourage everyone out there that are listening to these Sasquatch shows, to put out there in your mind's eye that you see all of the Sasquatch, the benevolence within the Sasquatch thriving, their children happy and healthy and protected, just like you would do normally for human children that you see stories on, and you put out that collective kind of thought process, that wish. Do the same thing for them as well, because it is a difficult time for them right now, as they really are trying to help clean up some negativity that is on a completely different wavelength than us, but is actually they are doing a lot to help protect us, and you don't know it. The one thing I'd like, we mentioned it on the last show, and I would just like to mention again, is the fact that it doesn't matter where you are, the Sasquatch can kind of still be around, because I know that I was in the middle of downtown Raleigh and walking along, of course, all of those buildings there, and there's little parks, walking there, and I believe I was actually on the phone with Chris at the time, talking and just enjoying the afternoon, walking during a walking break that I took from work at lunchtime. And we were talking and everything, and I got up and I needed to walk back towards work, and I looked down on the concrete, in the middle of the concrete, right there in a walking path, was actually, I guess they are called stick glyphs. And I just knew when I looked at it, it was not natural. How could this just fall this way? How could it have been kicked this way? And I just knew at that moment that, wow, somebody was saying kind of hi to me. So, it can happen anywhere. If you're putting out that heart space intention that you want an encounter, and you're in large cities that have parks or whatever, again, because they're residing on a different frequency, they can be in a lot of places that you never would think. So I'm just curious if you guys would kind of comment on that, as far as people, doesn't matter where they are, if they want to try to reach out to you in a benevolent way.
Yes, indeed. You can indeed receive and give gifts even in your own backyard. Some tribes will not do this because of the safety factor. But it is possible for our people to accept gifts even within your own kitchen, living room, or dining room, or even bedroom. But in this, we can indeed do this. However, majority of the beings, Sasquatch beings that you communicate with, will wish to have a gifting spot in the middle of the wilderness. It is purely for safety reasons.
Well, thank you. And we probably can end this. Just leave any last words for this show. Again, talking about people and being able to communicate and think about it and gift and go walk around in the woods, see if you notice anything. Any last words about anything you want to talk about today?
We will help end this particular episode with these words. We know we have reiterated, know thyself, but also know thy environment. If the energies in your environment are not as you wish them to be, you do have the ability to change this. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad neighborhood, you would say. That is a co-creation that mankind has wrought, you would say. You have the ability to cleanse your areas. Though there are toxic areas that we do not wish humans to be in right now for that reason, you do not have to stay in these toxic areas. But just know you have the ability already within you to clear these places through your intentions and your heart space. This will make it easier for us to communicate with you. And just know that you do have beings looking out for you. Not in a savior sense, but beings that are guiding you, whispering in your ear from time to time, and speaking to your heart from ours. Thank you. It is actually much brighter out here now, like bluer and greener. They also wanted to end this transmission because there were more distractions popping up because of their presence in the energy. Not because of them, but it's what they're fighting. So, you may have noticed the distraction in the background, so that's why they were choosing to cut this off. But thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of The World of Sasquatch. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.